Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is good to see everybody. We're a bit early today here on the morning grind because I may have to get out to the, in fact, I do have to get out to the vineyard today because I wasn't there yesterday because it was RavenCon. It was the second RavenCon yesterday, and we had a fantastic time. And I see so many people in the chat who were there last night. We were playing Hero Quest. We had so much fun. So I decided to do the show a bit earlier today so that I can get out of here a little bit in a little bit and then head to the vineyard for some work this morning. But I was also thinking about, and I was mentioning this in the Discord server last night. Let me go ahead and put a link to the Discord server as well. Since my schedule is stabilizing a little bit, here we got the Discord server invite. I believe I'm kind of thinking about returning to a daily morning grind because I miss doing the show with everybody. But it would have to be earlier. It would have to be earlier. So that's why I'm like, okay, do I commit to it? But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about coming back, or maybe just not having a Saturday show, but but anyway, in putting in some more morning shows. But it would have to be earlier. It would have to be at like 7 o'clock Central my time or something like that in order to do the show for an hour before I go out to the winery. So I am considering that. But so we're a little bit earlier here, but that could be the direction that we shift. We talked about last time, perhaps starting a little bit earlier anyway, because if we go longer, we're not going into the afternoon. Let's see who we've got here. Zero the Blade is here. Good morning, Zero. Zero was there last night. Zero was playing our wizard in Hero Quest. Tomocrat, good morning, Tomocrat. James is here. James was our intrepid dwarf last night. Hey, Mike is here. Mike is the halfling. Good morning, Mike. Good morning. Good to see you. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Sable was just talking about that, so lots of fun. So I know we're doing a bunch of stuff with the eclipse. I know some people couldn't be here for the second RavenCon because there were eclipse things going on, which that sounds much more fun. So, the eclipse is quite a thing. So it was 2 successful extractions, yes, last night during Hero Quest, 2 successful quests. Let's see. Stray is here. Stray gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Stray. Stray, let's find out who. Now, I was giving, and the members get discounted RavenCon tickets. So that's important. So let's see. Oh, Patrick Fitzpatrick was gifted a membership. I know Patrick. So thank you very much, Stray, for giving that. So Patrick just got a membership. Thank you, Stray. Yeah, the wizard was clocking people with the staff a lot. Those kinds of things are so much fun. The staff has earned the name One H-Boy Wonder or Orc Thumper or something like that. Yes. Once the wizard gets the diagonal attack, it feels like it changes things. I like that Glamdring Beater, or was it Biter? I forget which one is Glamdring and Orcrist too. Orcrist is the Goblin Cleaver. Glamdring is the Foe Hammer. But yeah, actually, we should have thought about that actually when you were making the stand last night. Last night we had the elf holding one secret door, the dwarf holding another door to escape with treasure from quest. I believe that was quest 4, Prince Magnus's gold, and it was a lot like that. Good morning, PH. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Oh, good morning, Wild Barley. Good morning. So our main topic for today is the Moria book. We've got the alpha of the Moria book, and I've been meaning to look at it for a while, and we just haven't been able to, especially on a weekly schedule here this morning. So let's see. Yeah, I know. Wish you were there. Wish you were there. So with Hero Quest and RavenCon in general, let me bring this up. So for anybody who is here and doesn't know what we're talking about, I need to change this up because now I need to put a new date in here. But if you want to know when this is going live, I do post to Discord. I post to the YouTube community tabs as well. I don't know how often those are seen, but I do post at both of those. I hope that everybody who's a channel member sees the channel membership post, especially since that's got a coupon in it, a coupon code in it. Oh, we did even have the Last of the Mohicans theme song going while the heroes were making their last escape. But if you want to come, so we're thinking about having the rotation being the first weekend, the first Saturday of every month. So I think that's a good way to start. So this was April. This is April. So May will be the next RavenCon. RavenCon in May. That'll be RavenCon 3. And in addition to other ways to sign up or to know what's going on, like I said, the community tab, I wouldn't trust the YouTube community tab to reach everybody. Discord is there. I put the Discord link, but then also I'll send an email to anybody who signs up here on this forum. That also allows you to connect with a bunch of the different YouTube channels and things like that are going on, but tells you a little bit about the games. We can play a variety of different games. I set up a whole bunch of different games. I'm going to work on promoting the RavenCon 3 in May quite a bit more. I think we need to have DBJ there. We need to have Retro Nerd Girl there as special guests. Doug wants to play the Alien RPG game, And I think that would be a lot of fun. We've looked at it. I wonder what we'll need to do in order to set something up in the virtual tabletop. But I think it would be great to have. I'll invite them all, but it would be great to have at least some of the guests there, and some guests there. And I would like to invite. Oh, Robert's here too. Good morning. Robert was the barbarian last night. But it'd be great to invite people in and have them. I think it'd be fun to play Alien RPG with Doug. We'll need more people also to run games and things like that. So, Brian Colin. I still want to have Brian Colin in. I don't know who would run it. I guess we'll see if anybody is interested. Mike is interested too. So yeah, we'll just have to. I mean, we can talk about that in the Discord server. I don't actually have the name of that channel called RavenCon. I've got it called the Raven Keep, like the coffee shop. But the coffee, you can talk about it, in different wherever. But the coffee shop, if you want to talk or decide who wants to run games and things like that, we can talk about it in that channel of the Discord server, the coffee shop channel of the Discord server. If it's May, is it May the 4th? There might have to be something about Star Wars too. I don't know if it's actually May the 4th, but it would be right around that time anyway for Star Wars Day. So yes, I forget what else I was saying about that, but having people in. Oh, Brian, was saying Brian Colin. I want to invite him because he's got the Vast Grim RPG. It was a little bit too. He was going to Gamma when last I invited him, and he wasn't. So he wasn't able to get to here. But I need to go ahead and reach out to him and see if he would like to run some Vast Grim, because we've been over Vast Grim, and that would be so much fun. And Mark Tassin as well. I mean, that might be a good one. He might be able to play the Cool Name RPG or show us out the Cool Name RPG. It would need to be set up, but now that my schedule is stabilized a little bit, I didn't get to do as much promotion for the second RavenCon as I would have liked. So hopefully, I'd like to turn around and do some more promotion for RavenCon 3 and have more people there. Sable would be interested in running. All right, we've got one potential. Okay. So that's that. So if you are wondering what we're talking about, that is what we're talking about. You can come over here to that link that I just put in the chat, sign up, and then you will get the emails. I need to actually email everybody and tell everybody what a success yesterday was. So that's one of the major things that I'm working on right now is RavenCon and building RavenCon and trying to get more people there. We got tons of space for people to play in there. So, and the capability to run multiple tables. So that's where we're going. That's where we're going. All right. And then also, I have been putting out the Cultists. So the other major thing that I'm working on is the Cultist web show. Web show on YouTube. Yeah, the Barbarian did die, and I think I got the Elf the first game, and I got the Barbarian the second game. Or the first weekend is that we do need a West Marches style game, and I've still got to think about that because we need a game where people can come in and play, and it lasts for 2.5 hours, 2 or 2.5 hours to 3 hours, like a Hero Quest does. And have an RPG adventure. So we've got to think about how to do that. Because Charlie was leading us in Shadow Dark. So we were playing Shadow Dark the first convention. And that was a lot of fun. But the example quest with the Minotaur, whatever it was called, Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur or something like that. We didn't get finished with it. We played a lot and we didn't get finished with it. So, and then of course it's difficult to get the same group of people back together, which is always the situation, but especially here. So we need like a West Marches game where the game masters have a method to get an adventure done in 2 or 2.5 hours. Because then you go on another adventure if you want, like Hero Quest, like we do with Hero Quest, or you can go play another game or something like that. Because I'd like people to be able to play more than one game if they want to. So I need to figure out the best system to do that with. But anyway, the Cultists, I'm also working on relaunching. Brianna and I spent a lot of time the other day, I believe Wednesday, scheduling out all of the season 1 videos. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and watch, because we are re-releasing all of the Cultist videos over here and trying to establish it because it deserves a lot more attention, I think. So we now have 4 episodes of the Cultists up, and I believe that the 5th episode will be released this afternoon. I think at like 1 o'clock Central or something like that. Episode 5, where they encounter the cult of Shub-Niggurath, will be on the channel, and I've been alternating it with a release of an episode, and then also have been releasing like a director's commentary, Brandon's director's commentary, and then my producer commentary, and then another episode, and kind of rotating like that. So I've been releasing episodes and behind the scenes things and trying to promote it a little bit. I was experimenting a little bit with the Google ads, and I've run into different problems with the Google ad suite, because I was like, all right, it's time to actually start, trying to let people know the Cultist is happened. It's being re-released, and get eyeballs on it, because it's my mockumentary show about modern day Lovecraftian cultists who are just trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who don't understand. And but it's not YouTube's job to get people to look at something. It's so you have to do that yourself. So I was working a little bit with the ad suite, but I actually ran afoul of several of YouTube's policies, and I'm appealing right now. I found an appeal button, because right now it's telling me that I can't advertise the Cultists because it violates their policy on religious belief, like religious belief in advertising. So, it got started, and then later I had all these flags on the account that, like, this violates, our policies on religious beliefs and advertising, things like that. So I did appeal. Maybe that would, some kind of words in here, cult, I don't know, witchcraft, who knows, triggered that. Hopefully not like Cthulhu. And so I am appealing to see if YouTube will allow me to actually advertise it. Right. Rest marches sounds awesome. It could right. I'm thinking it continues across the cons. Right. Yes. We just set up a campaign that can be played, and then that way if people can't make it one con or something like that, they can still come in and out of that same campaign. Let's see. Oh, Mike saw an ad for it. Okay, good. Oh, thank you, Stray. Yeah. So it's there, and actually there were a bunch of other policies that it didn't like as well. It had like its policy, but I don't think. But in retrospect, or as I look deeper into it, I wasn't able to appeal the other warnings it was giving me. So it may have struck me or taken it down because of religious belief in advertising, but there were other things that it was like giving me a warning for. So I wasn't able to appeal those. Maybe that was just a warning. Maybe it's not affecting the ad. Maybe it was just a warning, because it also, the Cultist was also being, or it had its warning flag up again about identity and belief. It was warning. It had a warning about the Cultists and identity and belief. It had a warning about personal hardship. So it's something about advertising and personal hardship. I mean, yes, these guys do experience some personal hardship. And then it also had a warning about sexual interest. So there was, but I think the thing that it was telling me that I couldn't use to advertise, I couldn't advertise it, was because of the religious thing. So I'll see what happens with those other warnings, because it was like, okay, warnings and flags all over the place. So we will see. We will see. Like, the sexual interest thing. I haven't even posted the orgy video yet. The orgy is episode 8 or something like that. I believe it's 8. So that's coming. But next time, what do I need to make a show to make sure that there's nothing in the show that is sexually interesting? There's nothing in the show that's sexually interesting. But what kind of fun is that? James says, you just want to share a story about cultists who just want to worship Cthulhu in a world that just doesn't understand, on a platform that just doesn't understand. It doesn't understand. Hey, good morning, Lynn. Yeah, we got, we were actually talking about in the beginning here, we may start even earlier. We're starting 30 minutes. We started 30 minutes earlier today, and we may end up starting earlier later on. Anon says, so YouTube admits Cthulhu is real and satirical worship could unintentionally hasten his arrival. Maybe they know something we don't. Okay, so that's going on. So the two major projects, because like Sable had asked me what I'm working on majorly right now, and there are two things. It's getting RavenCon built bigger, so we have a larger group of people to come and play and have lots of fun at RavenCon. And then also I am trying to relaunch the Cultists, and then we've got to figure out what type of product to release with the Cultists. Whether we've got a game that's ready to go, a social deduction game, party game for the Cultists, and then also I was working on an RPG for it, a lightweight comedy RPG, and so I'm just trying to figure out which way to go. But it'll depend on what type of interest we have. So there are a lot of things going on. There are a lot of things on the plate, but that's what's happening right now, and I'm glad it's being relaunched. We have also been over on the Table Talk channel. I don't have our topic for Tuesday yet, but Table Talk, I have been releasing clips. Clips have been going out on the Heroes, the Heroines Labyrinth, and other shows. I got a little bit behind. We got a whole bunch of Heroines Labyrinth clips. And so those were scheduled out. So those are still being released. We'll get back to those. So if you're over on the Table Talk channel and you can't watch the whole live streams, we are streaming, we are clipping things, and they're coming out on the Table Talk channel. By the way, Lucy Williams, that was our last conversation with Lucy Williams. Fantastically interesting. Very interesting. Keyboardist for Moby on the world tour. Also musician in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That was a really interesting conversation. One of Doug's friends, and she did the audio. She did the music for Doug's audiobook for Faraway Bird. So if you didn't see that, that was a great conversation. I had a great time talking to her. All right, so that's basically what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and breathe and sip, and let's start this Moria thing. All right, I got your drink this morning. I've got mine. Let's do 2 deep breaths in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Complete inhales, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then we'll take a sip of our favorite beverage this morning. So here we go. Let's sip. And sip. All right. All right, let's see what is in Moria. Let me bring this up. I've got a PDF of it. I was really excited about Moria, and we also need to get a way to play the One Ring up. So here it is. Stray says, I think for the West March, we should have a setting and tally up our results at the end of each time block and up the setting with the majority of popular events. Yeah, we will think about that. We had talked quite a bit about what type of system to use if we're just doing general, like if we're doing a fantasy one, classic kind of fantasy one. I don't know if we decided on a system. But the setting, it would kind of be its own setting, I think. I think that's the way you run. Okay, anyway, so I've been very excited about this Moria. So I backed this on Kickstarter, and we got the alpha. This came out a little while ago, but we haven't had time to look at it. Because I really want this to be a great setting. I really want this to be a great campaign book. And I'm wondering what direction they're going to go with it. And I was saying that there's a bad direction, I think, which would be something like trying to map out every single room in Moria and making it like a gigantic mega dungeon with everything specified. You could go that way, and I know that some people would try. It's like, okay, there is our opportunity to map out room by room all of Moria. And then when you enter Moria, you're basically going into a gigantic mega dungeon that would be room by room. And some people would like that. Some people would like that. And I mean, that's not like it's an illegitimate way to play. Today, and that might be what I would have done years and years ago. It's like, okay, so now is our chance to specify all of Moria. And I did, I don't have it now, but at one time I had the Moria Middle-earth role-playing game book, which I don't really remember all that much about it. So it must have been okay. I neither remember like loving it or hating it. But that was Middle-earth role-playing game, and so it would have been kind of intense. And I remember Decipher did a box on Moria. And I did have that box on Moria, It was not a particularly heavyweight box. It was kind of it was a thinner box with a few different soft back copy books in it, and it did have a system that I think I liked. I remember liking, and I wish I could get that again to look it up. It was like called the Peril system or something. So it didn't try to go room by room through Moria. I think that it did try to establish the feel of, okay, we're going to try to go into Moria and we're going to try to establish more of the feel of the books or something like that, rather than a Dungeons and Dragons style mega dungeon. And I think I would prefer that. I wish I had that to go back and review. So I'm wondering how they approach Moria here. Has anybody read through this yet? Did I see the MCDM video? I started to watch a video by him the other day, but I didn't finish it for no reason other than I was doing other things. So I wonder if that's the one that you're talking about. Yeah, right, exactly. Mapping all of Moria sounds like something I would have tried to do in my youth. And then you never would get through it as far as your game goes. And there would be areas that you wouldn't even get to. Right. So right. So I'm hoping they didn't try to do that. All right, so Moria here. So we've got the Valley of Welcomes. And then we do have a little bit of a schematic of it longitudinally and vertically. With the Dimril Dale, the mounds of Azanul Bazaar, Dimril Gate, Dimril Stair, Dimril Door, Old Moria, the first hall, Durin's Bridge is at 6. This is probably stretches over 2, yeah. The Duero Delph. I should have a physical book of this coming. Old Moria, the Deeps. All right, let's see. All right, Chapter 1, Introduction. But I would not lead you into Moria if there were no hope of coming out again. Okay, I want to figure out, establish what type of book this is going to be. So we do have an intro to Moria, but most of us know what Moria is. Okay, here's, I think, an overview of what the book is. Moria is staggeringly ancient and complex. The work of making and rebuilding the Duero Delph is never done. Therefore, this guide focuses on one section of the city's history, the years around 2965, when the Free Peoples risked entering the dreaded mines on expeditions seeking treasure, vengeance, and the lost secrets of the dwarves. The last of these expeditions, of course, was the attempt by Balin, son of Fundin, to reclaim the city. That expedition began in 2989 and is outside the time period covered by this guide. In the spirit of Lord of the Rings, it's covered in an appendix beginning on page, I guess that's XX because this is an alpha right here. So maybe the page numbers haven't been put in yet. So this is 2965. So the expedition of Balin, son of Fundin, is outside of this. Even before but right there for you. Even before the Battle of Five Armies, a few brave travelers did risk entering Moria. The wizard Tharkon, called Gandalf or Mithrandir in other lands, when searching for Thrain, son of Thror, in the darkness of the mines, and is also known that Aragorn entered Moria in his errancies. Others have taken the Moria road in times of need. The assumptions of this guide, then, is that the player heroes are either traveling through the mines of Moria or a part of a small expedition into the ruins. The prospect of retaking the city or fully exploring the mines is beyond the scope of even a full campaign. Okay, well, I like that. So the prospect of retaking the city or fully exploring the mines is beyond the scope of even a full campaign, it says. Okay, so what is in this book? The Valley of Welcomes is where there's a monster that tries to drag you into the water, right? Yeah, once the dam got blocked, and I don't know, or once the dam was made that blocked the river. This is Free League Publishing. This is Free League Publishing. I believe they're releasing it for 5e and the One Ring, but I believe I downloaded the One Ring guide. Oh, it said that. I said that on the cover. So this is the One Ring right here, which is what I prefer even though I accidentally bought like the wrong book for something, and I bought the 5e version instead of the One Ring version. Let's see. Carl says, oh yeah, Cubicle 7 probably did too. Carl says, I remember years ago, Cubicle 7 had a Moria book on Amazon for pre-order, but when they lost a license before it came out. Oh, so they didn't actually have one. They never got it out? Yeah, it does come out for both, right? They're publishing for both systems. This is the One Ring system right here. Okay, so this is where book is going to have this introduction describes the history and shape of the place now called Moria. And at the gates, the trumpets rang discusses several groups interested in Moria in the present era. These groups might be patrons or rivals of player heroes. Journeys in the Dark contains a set of journey rules adjusted for underground exploration, as well as some Moria-specific Fellowship phase undertakings. Okay, that's good. That's kind of like that peril system I vaguely remember. I want to have a good system. So we looked at the journey system for the One Ring. And I think we thought that it was reasonable. Reasonable to actually good. I think we thought that it was good. I think there were a few things that I would do differently. But if we have a good system for adjudicating a journey through Moria that really invokes its feel, I would say that would be great. The fell foes list the orcs and other enemies that may be found in the city and the rules for risking an encounter with Durin's Bane. The mansions of the dwarves is the largest part of this book, describing mansions and hazards in the various regions of Moria. Appendix A, Balin's expedition, describes the largest expedition to brave Moria, Balin's expedition from 2989 to 2994. Appendix B, Treasures of the Dwarves, lists treasures both mundane and magical that might be found in Moria. Well, I would say that sounds like a pretty good book. All right, so where do we want to get started today? So here we do have our timeline, and we said this starts in 2965. So I'm looking at Gandalf finds Thrain and Dol Guldur, 2850. Okay, so they actually puts this in red here. So Bilbo receives Gandalf and Balin at Bag End. That would be the end of The Hobbit right there, 2949. And then in red, it says, after the deaths of so many goblins of Erebor, some heroes risk entering Moria once again. This is the present day for the purposes of this guide. 2980, it says, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, returns from his errancies in Gondor and Rohan and dwells for a time in the forest of Lorien. Afterwards, he enters Moria by the east gate. 2989, Balin's fated expedition. 2994, recorded death of Balin. 3018, the creature Gollum enters Moria to hide from the elves and the forces of Sauron. The Fellowship comes through in 3019. I do like the time period that this game uses as selected to play in. All right, chapter 2. And at the gates the trumpets rang. Okay, so Moria in your game. A key question. Is this to be a quick excursion into Moria or a series of expeditions? A single adventure into Moria emphasizes the horror and dangers of the dark underground domain, plunging player heroes into a labyrinth of unlikely perils, and makes the experience so harrowing that they swear that to never return. A longer expedition, like Balin's attempt to reclaim the realm, needs to take a slower, more measured approach and pay attention to the physical geography and factions within the city. One adventure might involve discovering a long-lost secret entrance into Moria, or forcing a route through the ruins of a particular gate. The next adventure builds on that success, pushing deeper and deeper into the ruins. Both of those sound like fun ways to play to me. I like that. Moria as horror. So you could totally do Moria as horror if you were trying to get in and get out. Either find something or get in and get out to the other side or something like that. On the other hand, especially if you were kind of like into the logistics side of things, if you were trying to say, all right, we're actually going in, we're dwarves going in to try to actually recapture Moria for the dwarves and do an extended campaign trying to retake it. That would be fun. A second important question, are the player heroes going into Moria at the behest of a patron, or is this their own scheme? A patron lets the lore master assign objectives to the company, which is a very useful way of structuring expeditions into Moria, instead of wandering about in the darkness at random. Many sample patrons are presented in this chapter, and unused patrons can become rivals or encounters along the way. On the other hand, if a player hero strongly desires to recover some specific treasure or relic from Khazad-dûm, that's wonderful. Player enthusiasm is the best driver of adventure. A third question. What is the composition of the company? As a rule of thumb, the more dwarves in your party, the more often you will return to Moria. Dwarves have a strong interest in reclaiming their ancient halls, but heroes of other backgrounds have fewer reasons to enter. If you intend to run a campaign centered on Moria, then encourage the players to have lots of dwarves in the company. Not necessarily dwarves of Durin's folk, dwarves of other clans work perfectly well. Okay, campaign focus. Darkest Dungeon vibes. Hey, I've still got this Darkest Dungeon board game over here that I still want to try out sometime. I've been trying to get the winery to do a tabletop night, and I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to do tabletop and tapas. So I guess I won't get to play there, but I'm going to take games and have a gaming library there. Should be fun. I kind of like the in-person equivalent of RavenCon, I guess. Okay, the player heroes are unlikely to be the ones who defeat Durin's Bane, but that should not be their quest. They should enter Moria with some other purpose in mind. They should either their own initiative or directly by a patron. The company's goals will no doubt evolve over time. They might be drawn to Moria by the lure of gold, get into a prolonged conflict with the orc tribes, ally with a patron for aid, and then pursue the patron's goals for a while. The ruin is large enough for many sorts of adventure. Searching for treasure. Gandalf once said the orcs had plundered Moria, leaving nothing of worth in the upper halls. He might be right, but the common perception of Moria and the tales of men is the underground complex is full of treasure. The wealth of the dwarves is fabled across the world, though accounts confuse the golden hoard of the Lonely Mountain for the treasures of Moria. Adventurers motivated by treasure hunting could certainly risk the darkness of Khazad-dûm, either on their own or behalf of a patron like a dwarf seeking some heirloom. Searching for a specific treasure or treasury, like the vault of Urkthar-bun, page whatever, works better because for a long campaign than just for hunting loot, but do not underestimate the primal greed of looking for pale, enchanted gold. Okay, I guess maybe these patrons are listed someplace in this book. As Gandalf said, the upper halls have been plundered by orcs, so the player heroes cannot just wander in and start grabbing chests of gold. Give them a goal by seeding rumors and legends of lost treasures, a family vault sealed with secret keys, and the fabled treasures of deeps, of specific relics and jewels that might still be found. Balin, for example, went looking for Durin's axe and for Durin's helm, and knew about the armories in the Third Deep. Let's see. Lore of Moria. Much was lost in the fall of Khazad-dûm. Not just physical records and annals, but as much secret knowledge perished along with its keepers when Durin's Bane arose. Even things that were once relatively common knowledge, like the location and word of opening of the Holland Gate, have been lost over centuries. At the same time, the dwarves salvaged a great deal when they fled, and they preserved the lore of their ancestors with great determination, handing secrets down from one dwarf to the next. Much is remembered about Moria in the halls of Erebor or the Blue Mountains, but the lore is fragmented like a piece of fine stonework riven with deep cracks that must be filled, and missing pieces that must be found or remade. Player heroes might find lore about locations in Moria from lore masters and patrons, from family secrets jealously held by certain dwarven lineages, through fellowship undertakings in dwarven strongholds, from records or inscriptions in the ruin itself, and from dreams or from ghostly aspirations. Okay, we could be stealing from orcs as well. If the orcs have plundered the upper halls, then the orcs have the treasure. So go and take it from them. Rival thieves. Oh, Mithil. Let's see about searching for Mithil. Tomocrat says, I want to look for the rock that Mary tosses down the well. PH says, my group always ends the game a little drunk. The real game is to calculate the exact quantity of alcohol to take one to another dimension without the loss of strategic skills. Yeah, there are a lot of games that are like that, especially like arcade games or pinball games, pinball and other arcade games. There's an optimal level of alcohol that allows you to play those well. And then if you go past that, it's all downhill from there. Searching for Mithil. So Moria silver is found nowhere else in Middle-earth and is precious beyond price. The metal is magical indeed, and the elves and the dwarves wrought many of their greatest wonders from it. Since the fall of Moria, no more Mithil has been mined, except by the orcs. The dwarves left behind storehouses full of ingots, and the mines were not yet exhausted. And it might still be possible to find Mithil ore in the deeps. To find Moria silver, the company must delve into the deeps, into the mines themselves to recover what remains. Alternatively, their quest might be to track down orcs who have secured a supply of Mithil and slay them before they make some mischief with the metal. The forges of Isengard and Gorgoroth are hungry for Mithil too. Now, let's find out more about Mithil here. Because one of the reasons that I was thinking, had always thought that something like the Mithil mail is so precious is because you've got to know what to do with the Mithil once you've got it. And I had always thought that part of that was that the techniques for that were lost. And like no one knows how to do it. So this is very interesting here that they've got well, in Gorgoroth. Okay, that's in Moria. And for a moment I was thinking you were talking about something like Mount Graham. But that's in Mordor. So I could definitely see Saruman wanting Mithil and to experiment with it in order to turn the raw metal into weapons again. And I can definitely see that being something that Sauron could be interested in as well. I don't know that I would have like the orcs of Mount Graham or Gundabad trying to work with Mithil. So I think that's a good one. Actually having, I could see a campaign or a story going about Saruman sending his orcs in to find Mithil and bring it back so they can figure out what to do with it. I have no canon reason for this, but I always thought that Mithil in its pure or its mined form, when Mithil is mined, it must be really easy to work. I think that's the way that I was working with this when I was writing some Middle-earth stuff, that it was really easy to work. Sort of like how gold is really easy to work, but you're not going to make armor out of gold. So I thought that Mithil must be a really easy to work metal, but that in order to make armor and weapons out of it, there's something you have to do to it, like some kind of hardening procedure that then turns it into. So you can work it soft, make exactly what you want, and then go through a specific procedure that hardens it and makes it nearly impenetrable. Good morning, RPG Exile. Good morning. Good morning. Lynn says, one thing's for sure, if Saruman gets his hands on some Mithil, he isn't going to make a teapot with it. I think in one of these, it may have been the Decipher RPG, Saruman wears a ring upon his finger in the stories, right? In the book, which is obviously, him trying to imitate the Sauron. And I want to say that in the Decipher, it was a band of Mithil. I don't think it says that actually in Lord of the Rings, but I think they made it a band of Mithil that helps him control orcs. I believe it was. Good morning, Jason. Good morning. Tomocrat says, wasn't Mithil also toxic when smelted, causing brain issues? I don't remember that, but possibly. There's got to be some reason. I always figured that even if you had an ingot of Mithil, you weren't going to be able to turn it into armor without knowing what to do with it. That's kind of what I thought. Zero the Blade says, I think it becomes a type of alloy, basing it off of the Bandai Tales series on how they describe Mithil. That's lead. So finding Mithil. Mithil is found only deep within Moria. Actually, mining Mithil is a slow and hazardous process. Okay, this says It's a slow and hazardous process. Instead, the player's heroes should set their sights on either finding the old dwarven stockpiles of mithril ingots in a treasury or stealing mithril mined by the orcs. Mithril stockpiles exist in the fortress of Malek, on Nan and Gillim, and in the Den of Forgotten Stars and the Goblin Village. Mithril might also be found in any hoard in Moria as the main material of a precious object. Jealous Eyes. No mithril has come out of Moria in 1,000 years, making the existence of works of the dwarves irreplaceable and priceless. Bilbo's coat of mithril rings was valuable not merely because of its craftsmanship, but because it represented itself a sizable percentage of the mithril in the hands of the free folk. If more mithril suddenly appears, it will draw the attention of the dwarves, as well as other powers. Mithril is a potent substance of value to elven smiths and wizards, and would-be ring makers. There we go. The Perilous Path. Lynn says, I would expect there to be some wickedly engineered traps guarding any dwarven storehouse of mithril. Yes. All right, so circumstances might force a company of travelers to take the dark road under the mountains. If snowstorms block the passes, the company could choose to take the Moria road to cross between Eriador and Ravanian. Equally, they must hide from the sight of powerful enemies. They could vanish into the darkness. Obviously, taking the Moria road is very much a last resort. Only a fool would take such a route if he had any other choice. A lore master could arrange events to push their companies into Khazad-dûm, but it's better just to pile woes and threats upon the company until the players decide their best option is indeed this terrible path. A one-shot journey through Moria places a gauntlet of monsters and perils. The company must find their way through the labyrinth as quickly as they can, exploring to find the correct route that leads into the next region. The longer they delay, the greater the risk the orcs will come upon them and bring their journey to a premature and bloody end. I wonder if you could do, all right, a horror tale of 3 hours through Moria. Can you make it? The upper levels have been picked clean of treasure. Mithril has been lost in the flooded mines, and the Moria road is a death trap. Vengeance, though, there is vengeance aplenty to be found here. If the company have a vendetta against a particular orc chief, they may be compelled to enter this dreadful fortress to slay their quarry. It was vengeance against the Zog that brought the armies of the dwarves to the Dimral Dale. Possible targets for vengeance: Malik One-Eye, chieftain of the Moria orcs; Through the Fire Speaker, servant of the Balrog; Yagul the Snatcher, infamous slaver; Hargrot the Sneak, master of the 21st Hall; Granny Goblin, underworld matriarch; or the Mauler of the Armories. A truly cruel lore master could suggest Grolgal, son of Bolg, as the target. Gorgal is unassailable in Mount Gundabad, but could be lured to Moria if Malik's reign collapsed. Questing for ring lore. Oh, this would also be a fun one. The dwarves of Moria preserved fragments of the lore of the ring smiths of Eregion for long afterwards toiled in secret, trying to make their own magic rings. With great effort, they were able to create some lesser rings, but never succeeded in making a ring of power. The Granny Goblin, I know, that surprised me too. Granny Goblin. Lynn says, we have been traversing these dark tunnels for 3 hours now and have not encountered a single Starbucks. This place is indeed a tomb. Still, the lore they hid is of incalculable value to those who still understand how to use it. Such ring lore might be hidden in the lost citadel of the ringsmiths or in the chambers of Narvi. Nal and Saruman might be sending people to find that. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be Saruman's orcs that are going in to do this. It could be like to pull out the mithril like we were talking about earlier. It could be the PCs. That could be what the PCs are trying to do. Moria and the wider world. Let's see. This section contains far more lore master characters than you should ever use. Meeting another explorer should be a rare event. The lost city must feel lost and abandoned. Picking the character that most appeals to you and your group, or those that arise naturally from your story. If your campaign spans multiple years, then have one of these travelers arrive every few years. Dwarves and Durin's folk. Flora, daughter of Dwellin. Oh, so here, okay. So some of these we're getting into NPCs. So some of these we're talking about being patrons for the heroes. Yeah, you do get into so yeah. So according to this, we do have a female goblin. I guess we'll look her up. Let's see. Ibn the Ring Seeker. There are fewer dwarf maidens than dwarf men, and not all wish to marry. Ibn fell in love with one such maid, Alfriga, and begged her for her hand. Now Alfriga was both a scholar of history and distant cousin of the line of Durin, and she laughingly declared that she would wed Ibn only if he brought her the ring of her family. Some believe the ring was lost with Durin the Sixth when Durin's Bane woke up, or that Durin's son Nain held it last. Others whispered the ring was lost when King Thror fell, but all the whispered rumors agree that it must be in Moria. Daza, Nal, elves here, Haldir of Lorien. Men of the wilderness, Dunlandings, Riders of Rohan, Rangers of the North. A name of ill omen. The name of Moria is black. It says 1,000 years have passed since the fall of Khazad-dûm. More than 30 generations of mortal men, long enough for memory to pass into story to become legend, and the legend to be forgotten entirely. Even among the dwarves, a full 10 kings of Durin's line have lived and died without setting foot in the king's hall. Of living beings, only the elves remember the wonder of the northern world and its lamplit glory. The Shire was founded some 300 years prior to the fall of Moria, and there was little trade between the two. Records preserved in the Great Smile of Tookland note that dwarven stonemasons were employed in the construction of the ancient Hobbit Hall. Most Hobbit tales of Khazad-dûm are much, much older. Both the Harfoot and Stour Hobbits dwelt at times near Moria, and the Harfoot custom of living in burrows may have been inspired by underground dwarven cities. So we've got rumors here of false Moria rumors, genuine rumors, famous landmarks, obscure landmarks. Yeah, I wonder. It wouldn't be absurd considering the kind of Tolkien lore gave us the dwarven spit would give Mithil their sturdiness. Just fanfic, though. So it says, Moria is not a fortress of the enemy, like Barad-dûr or Minas Morgul. It's not a dungeon brimming with traps and monsters. There are traps and monsters here, but for most part, Moria is empty. It's a ruined city, endless and bleak, the air heavy with melancholic gloom. Exploring Moria is not a madcap adventure that bounces from one wild encounter to another. For the most part, it's a cold march through a dark place, silent and lonely as a grave. Fear and gloom should be the campaign's dominant moods. The challenge for the lore master, then, is cultivating the mood without the game becoming dull or repetitive. Endlessly describing empty rooms filled with dust and rubble quickly bore players anyway. Filling the game with combat encounters and hazards makes Moria seem much too crowded. Okay, I like the way this is going here. Cultivate the mood without becoming dull or repetitive. Yeah, you don't need the endless maps of exactly empty room after empty room after empty room after empty room. And it's not like the Ruins of Undermountain is one we're going in and fighting it. You know, D&D, classic D&D mega dungeon, right? And you're fighting your way through like every room or something, right? So I like the way this is going. Instead for each expedition into Moria, choose a theme and develop it in the course of play through your descriptions and encounters. Aim for an emotional impression of the journey instead of a rote litany of regions explored. In fact, we recommend picking 2 of the themes below, one from each category. One category focuses on the city as it was, on the wonders of Khazad-dûm, and the others are the perils of the present. Each theme includes suggestions to build scenes and journey events around. Okay, this is interesting. Themes of wonder. If Moria is nothing but orcs and darkness, the tragedy is lost. Moria must have its faded grandeur and shattered glory too. The player heroes must want to return just one more time to see the halls of Durin again. So vast and intricate beyond imagination. Moria is huge and ancient. For 7,000 years, the dwarves labored here, building, expanding their city. This theme emphasizes Moria's sheer size and complexity, impressing on players the grandeur and sophistication of the past compared to the fallen and diminished present. Jason says, D&D is what brought me here. So far, this is very interesting. Good, good, good. Mike says, I like this could be a horror type experience that's going for. I do too. I do too. So, use the dwarven practices of numbering rather than naming to convey the city's size. If this is the 21st hall and it's on the 7th level, there are 10 more halls of equal or greater importance and 6 more on the levels of equal size. Every extant building in Eriador east of the Tower Hills, from the towns of the Shire to Brienne's smaller villages, to the house of Elrond Halfelven, could be swallowed up in a corner of just one of these levels and be hardly noticed. Talk about the cunning engineering of the city. Its infrastructure of roads, ramps, stairs, and elevators, its air shafts, drains for pumps, its gates, cisterns, and lamps. Have the company encounter some great civic wonder, some luxury that only a highly advanced culture could afford, a vast library, perhaps, or a theater, or a gallery of the arts, or a palace of the kings. All ruined and faded now, but echoes of that ornate glory still visible. When the company camps for the night, one of the player heroes dreams of being alive in the city's heyday. Ask them to describe their dream. In the pale ray of the wizard's staff, Frodo caught glimpses of stairs and arches, and of other passages and tunnels, sloping up or running steeply down, or opening blankly on each side. It was a bewildering beyond hope of remembering. The dark and secret way. The Mines of Moria and the Fellowship of the Ring were very oppressive, Sable says. The book, not the movie. So Moria was a hidden kingdom buried beneath the mountains. There were innumerable secrets to be uncovered here, as travelers can pass unseen along dark roads. Think of the player heroes, explorers, or archaeologists entering a tomb that has been undisturbed for centuries. The flickering light of their torches illuminate wonderful things, treasures of the ancient world. Have the company come upon the unexpected but stunning vistas, a secret window that looks out over the mountains, a bridge spanning a yawning cavern, a shaft that plunges into the deeps of the earth, or a chamber still lit by ancient lamps of glowing crystal. Include secret or magic doors and hidden passages, doorways that appear only when a dwarf touches them, or chambers that have lain concealed for thousands of years. Have the company spy or even eavesdrop upon their foes. Maybe they overhear orcs talking in an adjoining room, or hear voices echoing up some shaft. Alternatively, some company can sneak by their foes by slipping down a secret passageway or along an unseen walkway. Dwarves are not made to be seen when shut. They are invisible, and their own makers cannot find or open them if their secret is forgotten. Let's see. Another theme is the ancient work of giants. This theme focuses on the sheer scale of the works within Moria. This was a city of epic, heroic proportions, a city built by dwarves and the spirits of giants. The players and their foes are like furtive mice, scratching and sneaking in the corners of a great house. To reinforce this theme, have the company pass over around gigantic structures. Hint at the lost secrets of the dwarves, just as Orthanc was made from stones without joint or mortar. Maybe the ancient folk of Moria learned to shape stones without mason's chisel, or could make living statues that walked and labored on their behalf, now fallen into rubble. Contrast the geometric perfection and tremendous scale of the works of old with paltry scrapings of the orcs and the slow intrusion of nature. The land where our fathers worked of old. Khazad-dûm is forever the home of the long-beard dwarves in Middle-earth, no matter how far they roam or whatever other halls or fortresses they make. Mike says, you come across a theater, you see a collection of orcs doing Hamlet, right? I'm going to skip it. Piles of gold and jewels as a theme. The city reclaimed. This theme looks to the future of Moria and explores the promise that it can be rebuilt. Focus on laying the foundations for an eventual return, as Dane promised. The dwarves will only return successfully to Khazad-dûm after the world has changed. Themes of sorrow and fear. Okay, so this must be our second category of themes. Themes of wonder. Okay. And then you combine that with a theme of sorrow and fear. Lord of the Rings RPGs always remind me of Merp, that beautiful box seducing you to dive into their rules. An inverted pineapple, soft and inviting on the outside, but hard and full of thorns on the inside. That's Merp for you? So the theme of wonder reminds the company of the lost glories of Moria and shows them that's more than a black pit filled with orcs. Themes of sorrow and fear, however, remind them they are in grave danger. Vary the theme for each excursion into Moria or each leg of a long journey, so the feeling of peril changes. The nature of the danger may change depending on the events of the game. Do not stick to a theme if it's overtaken by events. A series of really unlucky rolls can change the tale from a journey in the long and lonely dark to a desperate flight from horrors beyond knowledge. So the long and lonely dark is a theme. To enter Moria is to vanish from sight of the world, and mayhaps perish far from sunlight, never to be found again. Darkness lies heavy upon these halls. Emphasize the darkness and importance of light. Sounds like Shadow Dark. Right. If the company does not have a wizard or magical source of light, they must rely on dwindling supplies of torches or the occasional glimpse of light from shafts. Describe textures, smells, and sounds instead of visual impressions. Play on their fears. Maybe they glimpse shifting shadows that could be lurking foes or just tricks of the light. Require the company to describe their camping arrangements and then describe how the gloom of Moria makes them unpleasant. If the player heroes carry bedrolls, note that how the chill of the stone makes them as cold as graves. Foul water drips from above. Every resting place is grim and uncomfortable. Play with the hero's sense of time. Okay, Arda Mard. Moria has lain under a shadow for more than 1,000 years, and all of these were once good and beautiful is now corrupted. This theme focuses on decay and the rot of the city. Emphasize the crumbling state of the city. Everything is broken and falling apart. Talk about collapsed ceilings, blocked passageways, weed-choked shafts. Even structures that appear at first to be strong and stable might crumble away. Have attacking orcs smash through a wall instead of approaching down a passageway. The goblins have perverted and adapted the dwarven machinery to their own cruel ends. The companies encounter goblin bombs and other traps in lieu of other hazards, and made from the dwarven works of old. The company comes upon a fabled treasure of dwarves, a crystal lamp, a delicate mosaic, a famous statue, only to find it defiled and ruined for no other reason than petty orcish vandalism. Toil and hunger as a theme. The triumph of the enemy. Moria is firmly in the hands of the orcs and other creatures of the enemy. Indeed, their hold is so secure here that their chief is one another. Their chief enemy is one another. There's no hope for the dwarves to ever recover the city until the world changes. The player heroes may be able to accomplish some good, but only as thieves, not avenging heroes. Emphasize the number of orcs here. Show the player heroes that orcs are not just lurking and looting. They are taking slaves, working the mines, and preparing for the coming war. There is no safe space. Oh, you're a roll master guy? There are no truly safe places in Moria, but they are few and secret. For the most part, there's nowhere the company can rest where they will be completely secure. Always mention something to sow doubt in the minds of the players. For example, the Fellowship made camp in the guard room with an uncapped well, and Pippin feared something might crawl out as they slept. To engender some discomfort, mention cracks, air shafts, cave mouths, doors locked from the far side, trap doors, suspected secret passages, innocent side entrances. Never let the player heroes feel wholly in command of their surroundings. Strange noises and smells, drippings of flowing water, the groaning of mountains, the distant tapping and drumming. Ask the player heroes to describe their own speculations or worries in character, especially if they are close to being miserable. That's actually a game state right here. Horrors beyond knowledge. You can really play with this. Galaxy Fox says, so I just got here, so maybe I missed something, but this sounds like how to describe your game like it's Lord of the Rings, which I feel like you like Lord of the Rings, but you can already do that with any system. Well, I mean, that's a good point. So it depends on, we were talking about what we're going to be able to get out of this book and what direction they were going to take this book. And it seems like in this section, especially, we were not taking a room by room approach to Moria. It's telling you not to do that. So it's talking about how to combine themes in your game to experience Moria. So few words Tolkien wrote are as mysterious as Gandalf's description of his experiences in the underworld. We fought far under the living earth, where time is not counted. Ever he clutched me, and ever I hewed him, till at last he fled into dark tunnels. They were not made by Durin's folk, Gimli, son of Glóin. Far below the deepest delvings of the dwarves, this world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he. For all its terror, even the Balrog has its place in the cosmology of Middle-earth. As a servitor spirit of Morgoth, Gandalf's words hint at other powers nameless and unknown. So hint at the things the company might never learn the truth about. They might hear some creature crawling through the tunnels, its scaly hide rasping against the stone. They might glimpse purple light in the distance, but never discover its source. They might find a cryptic message scrawled on a wall, but never know its meaning. The mysteries of Moria haunt the reader. Answers are quickly accepted, but do not linger. Journeys in the dark. Boromir muttered under his breath, but the echoing stone magnified the sound in a hoarse whisper that all could hear. In the deep places of the world, and hither where are we going against my wish? Who will lead us now in this deadly dark? So this has special rules. So if you're looking for more rules, okay, so looks like this chapter is what's happening here. The present chapter introduces special rules for traveling in Moria, adapted from the normal journey rules in the One Ring. And we did look at all the One Ring journey rules. The map of Moria included with this supplement can be used by the lore master as an actual artifact the player heroes may find in their adventuring, or the sum of the knowledge the company of experienced adventurers have gathered from different sources. All the locations featured on the map can be chosen as the destination of a company entering Moria using the game mechanics found in the Into the Long Dark section below. Yet not every site within Moria is shown on the map. Finding other more obscure landmarks is a difficult endeavor covered under Seeking and Finding. All right, let's go for a little bit longer here. When the company enters Moria with the intention of reaching a known location, a landmark on the map, for example, or to travel through the ruins to exit the opposite way, then the lore master must apply the following adaptation to the journey rules. The following rules require the Moria map and collaboration between the lore master and the players to determine what happens along the way. I wonder if that was what was in the beginning of this book here. The company underground. When the company journeys underground, its members must assume traveling roles normally, with the exception of the hunter. While it's assumed that in the course of a normal journey, hunters and the company augment and replenish whatever supplies they have brought with them with the bounty of the wild, no such opportunities exist in Moria. Hunters are instead replaced by delvers, whose function is to ensure the safety of the marching company, inspecting tunnels, monitoring environmental conditions, and in general mitigating risks connected to the structure of the underground complex. Their defining skill is craft. I don't know this one. Hey, Charlie. Good morning. Sable says, sounds like the journey through the deep caverns in C.S. Lewis's second science fiction novel, Paralandra. I have not heard of that one. So as usual, the traveling company must cover all available roles. In this case, the roles of guide, delvers, lookouts, and scouts. Finally, ponies and other beasts of burden will not accompany into the dark unless there are truly exceptional animals like a brie pony, or unless a player hero achieves a magical success on an enhearten roll. Spare food and water skins. Unable to hunt in Moria, the members of the company are assumed to carry enough food and water to sustain them for the length of their subterranean explorations. If the lore master and players are interested in dwelling upon the sort of minutia, all player heroes must raise their load score by 4 points to represent the added burden of carrying extra food and water. There are many streams and wells in the mines, but they should not be touched. Gandalf warned that the company should avoid drinking from the waters of Moria. But why? Pick one of the following perils, or note that the peril, or roll on the peril table below for each source of water. Note the table includes a chance the company happens upon drinkable water. If the player heroes refill and open the high cistern, then waters in the eastern portion of Moria become drinkable again. Okay, so we've got like orc filth. Orcs have befouled the waters of Moria. Orcs must eat and drink like other living things, so they have not poisoned the wells and springs, but they know which are safe to drink from and keep guard over them. The player hero who drinks suffers a moderate endurance point loss due to poison. Bitter water, icy cold. Poisoned by the mines. Malice of Durin's Bane. The malign influence of the Balrog suffuses the waters of Moria. Anyone who drinks from the waters here tastes the tears of all the dwarves of Khazad-dûm, who wept as Durin's Bane laid waste to their kingdom, gaining 2 points of shadow, sorcery. Those who fail the shadow test are miserable, or are miserable, suffer from hallucinations akin to Moria madness. It's Anglicans in space. The veins of the earth coming up again here. So the journey sequence. The sequence used to resolve an underground journey is the usual. Set the journey path, make marching tests, end the journey. Set marching path. Using the Moria map, the company shows the lore master where they are headed. The lore master then uses a ruler to measure the distance separating the company from their destination, converting the measurement into miles using the scale shown on the map. Okay, so I guess that is what we saw in the beginning. Because the journey rules typically use the hexes. Because we've got the hex map of Eriador in the One Ring book, and it goes by hexes, which I think is awfully nice. So in this case, you're actually measuring with a ruler and converting distances into miles. When measuring the distance that the company must cover, the lore master must consider the road in Moria may wind much. To accommodate for this, the final distance should always be rounded up or even augmented by as much as 50%. If the chosen destination requires the company to change levels often, climbing up or down, the lore master may even double the measured distance. For ease of reference, the lore master may draw a winding line on a copy of the journey log, considering each hex to correspond to 2 miles. I guess we'll see that in a moment. The path drawn on the journey log must not necessarily conform to the itinerary suggested by the Moria map. The only requirement is the number of hexes corresponds to the distance to cover. Oh, so you're converting to hexes. So you're going to get how many miles, and then each hex is 2 miles. I like that. I like that. Make marching tests. The occurrence of journey events is resolved as usual with the guide of the company making marching tests rolling travel. The roll loses 1d if the company is in the deeps or the mines of Moria regions. As soon as the company leaves, the guide makes a first marching test and counts the number of miles along the journey path on the outcome of the travel roll. If the travel roll was a failure, the company barely makes any progress, advancing by 2 miles on the journey path. Then an event occurs. If the travel roll was a success, the guide has struck a good path, and the company advances 6 miles, plus 2 additional miles for each success icon. Then an event occurs. To determine the precise nature and consequence of the event, proceed to event resolution. Once the event has been resolved, the guide makes a new marching test to see how many miles the company covers before something else happens along the journey path. Ending the journey. The company reaches its intended destination once a marching test result matches or exceeds the number of miles left between the company's current position and their point of arrival. When that happens, all player heroes calculate their fatigue normally using the rules on page 111 of the One Ring rulebook. If necessary, the length of the journey in days can be calculated by dividing the total distance in miles by 10. Because your test over here isn't talking about per day or whatever. It's how long you travel until something happens to you, some kind of event happens to you. Because this over here, I think that was one of the things that we did want to know when we were going through the journey rules. I feel like when we were going through the original journey rules, we kind of wanted to know how many days it was going to take. And it tells you can kind of back calculate that. So it does have it there. But I think going forward, as we were playing, we kind of thought that I mean, play it the way that it's in the book, I guess, in the beginning. But it was interesting that it wasn't telling you how many days it was going to take you, because we were thinking about that in terms of supplies and things like that, if I recall. Whereas this is not interested in that. It's interested in how long it takes you before some kind of event occurs. Stray says, in some old actual mines, it's a death trap to disturb the small pools of water. It's actually settled gas that can kill people really quickly. Oh, really? So, yeah, don't drink the water. If the members of a company are in need of haste, as the Fellowship of the Ring was when they passed through Moria, they can press themselves and march for more hours each day than they would otherwise dare. If the company undertakes a forced march, divide the total distance by 20 instead of 10, but each player, I guess that's to find the number of days, but each player accumulates an additional point of fatigue for each day of forced march. Event resolution. Journey events in Moria are determined as usual, rolling a success die on the event target table below to select the player hero, and then by rolling a feat die on the Minds of Journey event table. So success die roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The target the scouts, the lookouts, or the delvers, and what skill is going to be related to this event. So Moria Journey events, roll a feat die. Let's see, seeking and finding. Yeah, what roll you need to make. So if I remember, so if we rolled delvers and they've got to roll craft, then on a feat die and we roll a 1 or 2, the long dark of Moria. If the roll fails, delvers make a craft check. If the roll fails, everyone in the company gains 2 points of shadows for dread and 2 fatigue points. It says, seeking and finding. The following modifications to the underground journey rules can be used when the player heroes venture into Moria in search of a place they've heard about, but lack precise information concerning its location. For example, a place they have discovered using the Gather Rumors undertaking. The minimum requirement is to know the approximate area where the landmark is supposed to be found. To find such a place, the company must use the normal rules for underground journeys to reach the approximate region. Once there, the company must make a seeking test to pinpoint the precise location and reach it. A seeking test is made rolling scan, modified by the landmark's renown. If the landmark is famous, the roll is resolved normally. If the landmark is obscure, the roll loses 1d. If the landmark is hidden, it can be found only with a magical success. If the company has found enough clues pointing to the landmark, this may be considered obscure for the sake of the seeking test. If the test is successful, the player heroes find the landmark sought, or the gathered rumors are false in the first place. They confirm they are not nearby. If the test fails, the company does not find the landmark and must roll once on the Moria Journey events table. All right. Describing Moria, the groans of the mountains, footsteps, scraping, dark dreams, whispers, splashing, scratches, unexpected skeleton, strange wind, broken tools, distant machinery, smoke and heat, echoing silence, drums in the deep. So drums in the deep, they are coming. Moria has fallen. It belongs to the orcs now, to the orcs and to worse things. Outsiders might be able to slip through Moria without being noticed, but any exploration is almost certain to attract the attention of foes. In game terms, this is represented by the rules for eye awareness described in 169 of the rule book. Actually, I think this might be actually a good place to stop this morning, as I've got to get out to go to do other things. So I think drums in the deep. I'm curious. I think we ought to look at this some more. And if I'm able to if I choose to go forward on other mornings again and start to do this again, if not daily, in more mornings, I'd like to be able to do things in the morning before the show, report on them, creating things, report on them on during the show. That was kind of the way this was supposed to go. And then if I need to go to the winery, I can go to the winery. But I think we'll keep this at Drums in the Deep. I think I'm a fan of this book. It seems like it's doing a pretty good job. I think. I've never played the game, But I think for the One Ring kind of rules that we're looking at, I think this is going well. It's not trying to be hyper detailed. Now, that'll be a downside to some people, I know. But it's not trying to do the hyper detailed room by room. Jason says, I like this too. We might have to go into Moria sometime. Tomocrat says this is a fun one. All right, so Drums in the Deep is where we will start. I'll have to think about where to go. James also says, I agree with you. So far, I'm a fan. There's a tonal freshness, and just the lore is interesting to me. Yeah, it seems to be doing that well. Says, I think that doing the morning daily is better after all. It would spread all the irrelevant and random comments more evenly over time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, well, yeah. And plus it just seems like, whatever the morning show is supposed to be, if there is supposed to be a morning show for the Geekverse, it needs to be the morning grind. It needs to be happening more than once a week. So I will think about this. Please subscribe and come to the Discord server. If you are here and you're not, if you want to know when the next morning grind will be, like when I actually make that decision or whatever, please make sure you're subscribed. But I also always post to the Discord server, the Raven Keep Discord server. Okay. Yes, I'm going to go get dressed and I'm going to get out of here, but I'm going to think about this. And so hopefully I will see you guys soon. Now, Tuesday, the next time I know I'll be live is on the Table Talk channel on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about characterization. Brianna, I'm going to tell you what's going on with Table Talk later as well. We're closing in on 100 episodes of Table Talk, and I'm thinking about how we might take a little bit of a sabbatical there, because I want to make sure that the episodes that we're covering, we have enough time to, as James says, do our homework on things, because I think those are our best topics. So, yes, there is a Table Talk on Tuesday. It is on characterization. Brianna's going to be leading this the conversation on Tuesday. So that's the next time I know that I will be live, is Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on the Table Talk channel. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I have enjoyed it. Please, everyone, go forth, be creative, be constructive, and grind on. Later, everybody.